Welcome, Mick. I'm very interested to hear what you have to say because you've been on the San Diego Building Industry Association. You've been past president there. You've been involved in other areas. And so explain who you are and who you're representing today.
Well, I'm representing home builders. My name's Mick Pattinson. I built 18,000 homes in California as the president of Barrett American, a company that no longer exists. So I'm now the chairman of the Barrett Group, which is a startup home building company. And we're out trying to create some jobs and get some people back to work, building homes. We're trying to take these projects that have been foreclosed and taken away from our industry, and we're trying to get them back out of the banks and build them out.
What do you believe was the tipping point of your story?
Well, we were one of many private home builders in this state and across the country who were put out of business at the peak or just after the peak of the housing bubble by these banks who basically recognized that there was a serious problem. The banks had over-leveraged themselves. The bank that I was with was leveraged 30-1. They received a $45 billion bailout from the federal government. None of that money found its way to the bank customers.
Over the last 5 to 10 years, what have you seen in California? Has it been helpful as a state or hurtful as a state?
We haven't seen anything that's been helpful. We've seen a lot that's been hurtful. California is a job-killing machine, and it kills these jobs in many ways, but mainly in the regulatory arena. We have old chestnuts like the California Coastal Commission, which is now reaching inland.
When thinking in terms of the Coastal Commission, do you have any stories that you could share?
A classic example is not actually a private project, but it's the city of Carlsbad's recently opened municipal golf course, where the Coastal Commission literally designed that golf course. And what should have been something that cost somewhere in the $8 to $12 million range finished up costing the city of Carlsbad $70 million. $70 million. That is the most egregious example I have of where the Coastal Commission has really gone out of its way to prevent something happening.
What has your experience been with the California Air Resource Board?
The people that own this heavy equipment and heavy machineries, the grading equipment, they've all had to get rid of all their old equipment, and they've had to get these new multi-million-dollar graders and other equipments that have these new emission standards. Well, of course, what have they done with the old? They've sold the old stuff. It's gone south of the border, and now they're having to invest in this new equipment. Well, they're investing at a time of recession. So many of these grading contractors have gone out of business or they've moved to other states.
Is this the same as with the Water Resource Board?
We built a community of 1,300 homes in the city of Perris in Riverside County, not far from here. We built 1,300 homes. We built a school, a private school, and we built our own water system to service those 1,300 homes because the local municipality wouldn't cooperate with us in the way that we wanted them to. So we built our own water company. Well, it took us 5 years to go through and get all the regulation, but when we wanted to get a permit so that we could extract water, it took us 14 years to get that permit, extraction permit, from the Department of Water Resources. 14 years.
Mick, you had a very successful business, and you're now having to start over again. What are the lessons that you learned from doing business in California?
Would we go back to our previous model where we have 150 employees, where we employ lots of other people through subcontractors and things like that? Probably not. We are probably going to be much more careful about the overhead burden that we take on. I mean, the other mistake that we made, and of course many other builders made, is that we didn't cry foul loud enough or early enough. We kept knocking on the legislature's door saying, you realize that this regulation is a problem, don't you? And they said, well, don't worry, you know, we'll do something. They never did anything. We knocked on the city's door and said, you realize this $100,000 in fees that you're charging us can't be sustained. It's going to drive house prices up to a level that nobody can afford. Well, don't worry, let's just carry on as we are. And we went along to get along, and it cost us our companies, our businesses, our industry, our jobs, everything.
Mick, thank you so much, and thank you for all your hard work.
Pleasure.